Hey there, this is Natalie, and if you watched episode 1 of Mushoku Tensei season 2, then you'll now be familiar with a newly introduced character named Sara. Yes, I know it was the second episode of Mushoku Tensei season 2, but the first one, which concentrated on Sylphiette joining up with Princess Ariel, was numbered episode 0, and is kind of treated as an OVA. So while it is confusing, and I do get comments about it, I'm still going to go with the official numbering. Now Sara is an archer, and a member of the party Counter Arrow, who Rudius meets in episode 1, and it's already clear that she has some similarities to Eris. What I want to do in this video is talk about why they're actually very different characters, but the similarities do allow the story to explore Rudius's mindset at this time, with him almost projecting aspects of Eris onto a new and completely unique person. I won't be spoiling any plot points or revelations regarding Sara in this video. I will do a full spoiler video for her, as I've done for most of the season 1 characters, but I feel like spoiling her part in the next few episodes isn't really something most people would be interested in. Usually with these videos, I'm talking about stuff that won't be in the anime for years, that you might be impatient to know about regarding characters you like. But I don't know that anyone wants to be spoiled on stuff they'll see in the next few episodes, so her full video, and the ones for other key characters in this arc, will come a bit later. Still, while I won't be spoiling any events or storylines with her in this video, I will be mentioning some things about her background that may come up in the anime later, or may just remain light novel lore. I really just want to talk about her in terms of how both the audience and Rudius within the story might see parallels with Eris, and why that was a powerful choice by the author. If you're watching season 2 as it comes out, please remember to join the weekly post-episode live streams I'm doing with Espiritu, along with whatever various other guests we can get on. We're alternating hosting them between our channels, so episode 0's stream is up to watch on demand on Espiritu's channel, and episode 1's is available on mine. And we'll be back on Espiritu's for episode 2 on Sunday, around 2 hours after the episode drops on Crunchyroll. Please consider subscribing to us both, and gently caressing the notification bell button so you never miss a stream or a new video. And yeah, if you've been watching my recent videos, I currently have to do a quick bit of embarrassing e-begging because I've been going through some very bad times financially. I have explained about why in various channel update videos, so I won't go into it here, but I'm really having to rely on my community at the moment, and I really hate asking. Hopefully I won't have to do it for much longer, but if you can afford it and want to help out, then there's a link to my Ko-fi in the description. If you're going to simp for an e-girl this month, please make it me, and I'll attempt to lavish you in Mushoku Tensei content all summer long. Nya. And yeah, I'll stop doing this as soon as I have enough to pay this month's rent, so not every video is going to have this cringy part about how poor I am. And with all of that malarkey out of the way, let's talk about Sara and Eris. The easiest place to start is with where they are objectively alike. They're around the same age, with Sara being 15 when Rudius meets her, the same age Eris was when she left. They're both very talented warriors, though Eris uses a sword and Sara uses a bow. While there aren't rankings for ranged weapons in the same way as the 3 main sword arts, and Sara was trained by her father who was a hunter, rather than by someone like Ghislaine, who's officially recognised for her sword skills, I get the impression from the way people appreciate Sara's mastery of archery, especially given archers aren't especially common in parties, that the skill levels at this point in the story are probably about equivalent between Sara and Eris in their respective ways of fighting. They're also both hostile to Rudius and uninterested in getting to know him at first. Both girls also have a strong older woman they look up to who's been taking care of them for a long time. In Eris's case, that's Ghislaine, and in Sara's, Suzanne, and we'll come on to their relationship in just a moment. These, however, are the only truly objective similarities they have, other than perhaps the fact they both lost their parents and have been in close-knit adventuring parties, though the differences in those cases are, I think, more important to who they are than the similarities, and I'll address that point too in just a minute. Physically, they're not similar at all, with Sara's blonde hair and blue eyes, and Eris's iconic red hair and red eyes, and with Sara appearing to be quite petite, where Eris is tall. Sara is, at least I think, a lot curvier in the anime than in the light novel artwork, and that is a feature Eris can also be said to have, but not really at the age when we last saw her, so I'm not sure if that's a similarity or not. I think we can rule out any visual comparison Rudius might be making then, though from a waifu design perspective, it's hard not to consider the old joke about Roxy, Sylphie and Eris being Squirtle, Bulbasaur and Charmander, and consider Sara the Pokemon Yellow option. Now, both Eris and Sara can be seen as Tsundere type characters, but neither of them exactly fit the archetype that Rudius has in his mind of a Tsundere from playing dating sims in his past life. Eris is hostile to Rudius at first, but this isn't because she likes him and is embarrassed about it. It's because she's hostile to everyone, except for the two people she likes, Ghislaine and her grandfather Sauros. Rudius understands that if he can make himself a part of that number, of the people Eris will listen to, she'll actually be very straightforward. Where a classic tsundere would already like him but be embarrassed about how she felt, and display hostility to him while being generally normal with other people, Eris isn't like that. The whole thing with a tsundere is that her feelings are complicated, or she's embarrassed about people knowing them, but Eris is actually very direct. When she's hostile to Rudius, it's because she really doesn't want to learn what he has to teach, or to have a younger kid as a tutor, and nothing more complicated than that. And when she comes to admire him, she won't stop telling anyone who'll listen about how great he is. Now, Sara is not a little ball of aggression like Eris, and seems to have a great relationship with Suzanne and the rest of the party. This is understandable, because Suzanne and Timothy, the party leader, took her in after her village was attacked by powerful monsters, and her parents were killed. They took care of her and trained her, and a few years later she became a full-fledged member of the party. This party is literally Sara's found family, though we can see that Suzanne would like her to begin to like and trust outsiders from the group more, as because we and older party members like Suzanne know, parties don't last forever. Sara's hostility towards Rudius is in part because he reminds her of other people who've come and gone from the party, runaway nobles who wanted to try the adventuring life but couldn't hack it, and also, once she knows his name, for a more personal reason. Sara's village was under the supervision of the Notos Grey Rat noble family, the same line Paul, and therefore Rudius, comes from, along with, and this isn't really relevant but it's still fun to know, Luke, the knight that's with Ariel and Sylphie in episode 0. The nobles wouldn't send anybody to help fight the monsters, which is why adventurers like Suzanne ended up being there to do their best to help the people. And naturally, Sara blames the nobles for the deaths of her parents and other regular people in her village. This means that Sara's hostility towards Rudius is not for classic tsundere reasons either. She just doesn't like what he represents to her. Plus, he's in full-fledged emo mode, and this annoys her, considering she's seen some dark times of her own. Basically, she sees him as a whinging rich boy who's out of touch with normal people's struggles, kind of like everyone in the world sees Prince Harry. Rudius, in his normal, more talkative state, may have been able to charm her, or convince her that he's had a lot of experience as an adventurer and wasn't a posh boy messing around who'd let them down. But because he's so depressed, he doesn't especially care about making friends or winning over people who don't like him. He just sees himself as having a job to do in terms of spreading his name to make it easier to hear any rumours about where Zenith might be. He also feels so worthless after Eris seeming to have left him that he doesn't even think he deserves to be liked or welcomed. This means any initial chance to make a good impression on Sara is lost, and her view of him remains unchallenged in their early interactions. So as you can see, neither of these girls are hostile to him because they're dating sim stock characters. But during Rudius' time with Eris was when he actually learned that real girls who act like that towards him aren't always going to be won over in the same way as following a route in one of the Erogay series he was so fond of in his past life. With Eris being his only model for how real girls who might dislike him at first are, it's natural that he'd see something of Eris in Sara's approach to him, even though she has completely different motivations for disliking him, and even though the way she shows her dislike is more through social and verbal means than violent outbursts like Eris was prone to with him at first. Even this is enough for him to project more of Eris onto Sara. This is why I think Sara is such a good character for Rudius to encounter during this period in his life. While I've seen some people saying, oh, she's just a replacement Eris, or she's Eris 2.0, that's really not why a character with that kind of nature towards Rudius is so impactful to be here now. If Rudius was thrown into a situation with someone who reminded him of Roxy, Sylphie, even Zenith, that would be a comfort, while still bringing up painful feelings of missing those people. But because it's someone with just passing similarities with Eris, it really plays into the themes of what's going on in his head here, and I'll certainly talk again after a couple more episodes about where that ends up taking Rudius and his mindset as the arc goes on. Far from the author being unimaginative and just replacing Eris with another tough Tsundere girl, this is a very well crafted decision, and I hope, even without being able to spoil anything in this video, I've managed to convince you that Sara is a unique character in her own right, that the author created very carefully to tell this part of the story with. Still, this is really all I can say about her right now, but let me know your impressions of her in the comments. Please remember though that this is a spoiler-free video, so if you want to talk about anything from after Season 2, Episode 1, or the most recent episode if you're watching this in the future, then please put a spoiler warning and some blank space before the spoilers, so people have to expand it to see the spoiler content. Thank you as always to my supporters on Patreon, and of course to everyone who's helped me out with my terrible financial situation by donating on Ko-fi. I only show the Patreon members on screen because Ko-fi sometimes shows me people's real names. Actually, if you donate, it even tells you my real name on PayPal, and I assume most people don't want that on a video. But I can't stress enough how much of a lifesaver your support is to me during these trying times. Thanks too to everyone who helps me out in other ways like subscribing, liking and commenting, and of course, just watching my videos. Thanks for watching this one, and I hope to see you again very soon.